Yes, we're confirmed live. We'll hit play, get our intro, and we'll start our
Shit.
podcast. We're live. Stop swearing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Alright, yeah, we're officially live.
Well, I hope this guitar doesn't fall over.
I hope not either. Alright, we ready?
Sure. Welcome back. Today is episode 2 of Bacon Bits. I have my co-host Corey Sylvia with me.
Hello, piglets.
All right. So let's get right into it. Yeah, today we're going to talk mainly about my new Rallycross car build, which involves Dirtfish, which is a premier rally school located in Seattle, just outside of Seattle, in Snoqualmie. Anyway, I've done a lot of training at Dirtfish over the years, and in our last podcast, I mentioned that I was having a car kind of modified by them, and that brought up some cool questions. Like, people were curious to what level Dirtfish was gonna modify it, and what we would do after the fact. So we just kind of wanted to clarify that and tell you what the purpose of this build is and how we're going to use it to basically build regional rallycross in Reno.
Yeah, so let's talk about this car. So what is the car?
The car is a 2010 STI hatch, so it's a Subaru. And we chose the Subaru because I actually may or may not have actually driven this exact car I'm purchasing in one of their schools probably 3-4 years ago when I was just getting into rallycross, because I had only asphalt experience and formula cars and various training vehicles. So then I went out there to get like my dirt and gravel skill set.
So while we're talking about that, let's talk about the options you have in America to even do that. So there's Dirtfish, which is in the Seattle area.
Mm-hmm.
We have Rally Ready, Texas Stave down in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
I believe
That's just
Rally,
in Austin, right outside of Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah.
It's like 45 minutes
we
from
have
Austin.
A new one that we're going to meet come October called I think it was called The Firm, which is down in Florida.
Well, that's been around for a while, but yeah.
Firm, new to us as far as
we'll
dealt with them before.
Yeah, we've never dealt with them, yeah.
So all of these schools, but Dirtfish is definitely, I would say, the premier school when it comes to what their operations are, like the vehicles they have. They have all brand new STIs. So we have one of their older school cars.
Now the hatch. So the 2010 hatch, they're basically retiring because I think Dirtfish has a pretty exclusive manufacturer program with Subaru. So they rotate in new school cars like every 3-4 years. So it seems. And now their fleet is predominantly the new body style Subaru WRX STI you see on the street. So
yeah, and I believe they're 2019 models because I have a set of rims.
Yeah, we do. Thank you, Trevor.
Yes, thanks, Trevor.
Shout out to Trevor Wirt.
So this vehicle was a school car. What are they doing to it?
Well, basically, there's a lot of heavy gravel out in Dirtfish, which is great for learning how to get sideways and do stage rally training. But that tears up the under trays and whatnot. So Dirtfish takes these cars and they completely take the bottom OEM skid plates off, all the plastic ones, replace it with really thick, high-quality plastic coverings. So that protects your inner fender walls. It protects the under part of the entire car. So I'm having them replace all of those components so that they're fresh so that I can destroy them. And then on top of that, the rims get torn up and the brakes get torn up too, because it's called the gravel machine gun for a reason. I mean, it's just shooting gravel constantly, and that's getting chalked up in wheels and whatnot. So they're replacing the wheels, the undercarriage protection, and definitely the brakes. Typically less powerful than a rallycross car by several hundred horsepower. Stage rally cars also have their radiators in the front.
Okay.
Whereas rallycross cars would be in the rear just to prevent punctures when you're giving people the elbows, so to speak. The business.
So a good comparison is Subaru, just because they have a Subaru Rallycross car and they have a Subaru Rallycar, which are both at the highest level of each of their sports. Mm-hmm. So the Subaru Rallycar that Higgins won his 10th championship, I think, this year with, what was the horsepower and something like that? Like just over 300 or so?
It's probably it depends on the class that they're running because they're limited with that. But I imagine 350, no more than 400 horsepower. They do still have two-step and like anti-lag. Yeah. So they sound very similar, especially if you watch like Travis Pastrana and Higgins Subaru rally videos. You'll hear them and they sound exactly like a rallycross car. But I'd say a rallycross car has a bit more aggressive anti-lag. You can hear that. You can also occasionally hear the fact that it has like more grunt, more horsepower, and see that visibly when it's on track.
Okay, so we're due to get this vehicle sometime in July, we think.
Yeah.
What's going to be our plans? What are our mods that we're going to be?
Well, like I touched upon briefly, we're going to try and build regional rallycross here, which would be epic. And in order to do so, we need to have basically the pinnacle regional rallycross build, and additionally a research and development car for the track layout we're proposing. So this will be our R&D vehicle, our promotional vehicle for regional rallycross, and even potentially a promotional vehicle for any like nitro or national series that comes through town. And on top of all of that, it's basically the ultimate training tool. You can't go replace something like this with a UTV because the UTV is softer, it's got more body roll, it's not as heavy. There's so many different things about it. Yes, you can develop great habits ripping a UTV around the desert, and you can develop great reflexes and road reading abilities, but that only goes to a certain point. Because if you're trying to be the best in rallycross, you need to have seat time consistently and in an amazingly similar car to what you're already driving, if not the exact same.
All right, so what's the first mod? Like, let's say this rally car just came, yesterday.
Ooh,
what are we working on it tomorrow? What are we doing first?
Yeah, the biggest things we're going to do are kind of the biggest pains in the ass, so to speak. So we're going to do a complete motor swap as well as a transmission swap.
That's number one?
Well, number one is we're going to go drive it. And make sure that it is truly as badass as we think it'll be.
Right.
So give it a shakedown, so to speak. And then after that, those are pretty much the biggest mods. On top of that, we need to relocate the radiator and potentially reinforce the front of the car itself. That way you can actually consistently kind of bump into people's corners, loosen them up, whatever you want to call it, give them the business.
Yeah. So suspension-wise, are we going to be modifying that?
Nope. That's going to come pre-modified, essentially. Okay. All we need to do is get the track built and then go and dial in the suspension.
Okay.
Which we can do a baseline, on like closed road or off-road or whatever,
Okay, and let's talk about that because you kind of hit on like the reasons why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about where we can do this with this type of vehicle.
Yeah, well, I mean, we came to Reno primarily for the available land to the public. So, in other words, the BLM land. So we could definitely go find some off-road
Bureau
trails.
of Land Management.
Yeah, we could definitely go find off-road trails and create a small circuit. You don't need much just to dial in a baseline setup with the car. Besides that, if we were really in a pinch, we could go out to Fernley, which is our local track, and ask to use a skid pad or something of that nature.
And we've had some chats with some people at Fernley about, running some, because they do have an old what was it, a short course track?
Oh yeah, so right next they have a dirt oval track, which is somewhere between 3/8 mile and I guess half mile, and next to that was an old short course track, but it's pretty small and run down. There's some small remnants of features there, but it's nothing too massive. If we were gonna go do something like that, I'd want to go jump it over something that's properly designed.
Now, but they also have a long tarmac track as well, right?
Yeah, Fernley has an incredible tarmac track. Like the layout of this course, best way I can describe it is like a perfect combination of Thunder Hill, the 3 mile loop, and the Laguna and Sonoma. You have crazy elevation changes. You have incredibly tight corners, like with chicanes and whatnot, and then you have very high speed sections where you're basically pinned. So I don't see a car that couldn't perform well out there and put a smile on your face. Like for instance, you could drive a Miata there. Yes, your lap time would be 25 minutes, but you would have an amazing time. And then at the same point, you can have someone with a badass formula car and like a proper team go out there and test and really gain some information.
Now, one thing about that track is the condition of the tarmac was not that good, but we heard that they were going to be repaving it within the next 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, very soon. I'd say within the month they'll probably resurface it, but I think it needs a full repave, so I'd imagine they'll actually do a full repave. But it is a long circuit, so I'm not sure if they'll do it in one swoop or if they'll do like certain little parts of it just to get it running again. It's funny you say that because I was on Facebook today and I looked up the SCCA, Reno SCCA, and it exists. I had no idea it would exist. And I reached out to them and they immediately got back to me. So hopefully I'll be in touch with them about some regional tracks.
Yeah, so let's that's, if you're looking at the stream, you'll see that it also says Regional Rallycross. We're basically want to bring Regional Rallycross to Reno.
Yeah.
So, and to do that, we obviously need a place first, which Fernley is kind of where our mindset is to try to do something at the Fernley track, because there aren't any other tracks that we know of around. To be honest, there is a short course track in Sparks, just outside of Sparks.
Yep.
But the Reno Fernley track is the largest facility with the most growth, and they have a new ownership who looks like he's doing a lot to it. He just added
2 new owners. Yeah.
Added a moto track. Lots of activity happening there.
It'll certainly be like a complex or a campus versus just a rallycross facility.
So let's talk about the regional. How do we bring regional rallycross? So obviously step one is you got to get interest, right? We got to figure out, and just based on observing the community, you have a lot of Subaru drivers,
tons,
you have a lot of motorheads. So the combination is kind of perfect for our sport because in Reno, if people don't know, they do get snow. We do get decent winters, so there are a lot of the overall Subaru drivers, XV, Forester. I've seen a lot of Forester turbos. Anyways, you have a lot of these all-wheel drive, smaller vehicle
capable cars.
Yeah, capable cars because of the landscape, and they've all fallen in love with these cars. And I'm constantly waving at Subaru.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just what Subaru.
Every day I drive around, I see at least 3 WRXs. They're all young kids. A lot of the population of Reno right now is from UNR, the university down here.
So we're going to be kind of doing some guerrilla marketing, and we're heading to a drift event this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to go to a drift event put on by a local shop, and we're also going to start making appearances at the Cars and Coffee around here, and the there's a couple of car meets that meet like twice every month.
Well, they have Hot August Nights. I don't know if
that actually is canceled this year due to the coronavirus. But Hot August Nights is a massive month-long event where they host live auto auctions, and there's a massive car meet where predominantly you see mostly like American muscle or old restored vehicles, but they're all perfect because all the retirees out here got their dream garage and they're tinkering away all day. So I'm sure the next time we see it, it'll be the best it's ever been, turnout-wise.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple things I want to talk about. We have sponsorship. So we have a couple of our sponsors are going to be playing a big role in bringing regional rallycross to Reno, but also mainly to help build this rally car, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about our main guys over at engines.com.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're basically an automotive marketplace for engine builders. So if anybody
the Amazon
doesn't know,
of engines.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who's ever had to research an engine to put in their car that they're modifying knows how difficult it is to find that market. So a lot of people you may not even understand because you're never looked
for
to
a full
buy an
motor or
LS2
something.
But
Exactly.
there's a large population of these car builders who need specific engines, and we're even in the boat where we wanted to get a very powerful engine for
the rallycross car.
Rallycross car, because the engine we're getting is not going to be powerful enough. So in our research, we've researched what Crawford Motorsport.
What we determined was that Crawford. I mean, there's many competitors to Crawford as well, but Crawford builds an amazing product, and we're thinking about going with them. Nothing's confirmed yet, but they definitely have an engine package that would be a 2-liter turbo that would fit our 600 plus horsepower requirements. So, and obviously we will have to detune this engine if we ever plan to participate in regional events with this car, but that's something that's very possible. And it's funny because the stage rally cars, I'm sure, are built up to be about 600 horsepower blocks.
Yeah.
And completely detuned to be safe,
Reliable.
to be pinned on the rev limiter for 10 minutes straight.
Yeah.
So,
but Crawford's, one engine builder. There are a number of other engine builders, not too many Subaru Boxer engine builders, but there's some out there. But the goal is to connect these engine builders to engines.com and basically have their marketplace be where you can find amazing engine builders throughout the country. But engines.com is going to help us sponsor this vehicle, and
Engines.com and Monster Transmission are going to go in on the vehicle. And it's really great to have Monster Transmission, too, because obviously everyone wants the badass motor and transmission, which is a massive cost or expense in any build. So if we can get that for a great price and allow it to help our sponsors essentially with visibility in the market.
Now, on the Monster Transmission side, this is something that they don't currently have a sequential transmission.
Exactly. This would be more of an R&D. You could justify it as R&D with them because we're trying to get them to help us with the sequential, and we want to find a way to build a sequential that'll fit into most 2-liter turbo cars that's less than $10,000, which is basically the standard at this point for a medium end one. I mean, you can look at a Formula Car X-Track gearbox, and that thing is outrageously expensive, and it requires tons of maintenance. But we're not looking for something like that. We want to build something with Monster that's robust, affordable, and track ready. So, I mean, that would be the perfect storm. Imagine all these dudes coming out to the Rallycross track, and they're like, how much did that cost you? The same or maybe $1,000 more than a full replacement?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
To have a sequential,
I would do that.
Yeah, and for, if there is anybody out there that doesn't understand transmissions, basically...
They're a disaster.
You have an automatic, a manual, sequential, and then they have these new kind of, hybrid automatic manuals.
Yeah, twin clutch. They got the Tiptronic systems, all that.
But essentially, what is a sequential? How is a sequential different than a manual transmission?
Are you going to put me on the spot like that?
Yeah, you drove one.
Well, from a driver's perspective, a sequential transmission basically means you push forward or pull towards you to upshift or downshift. Pulling towards you is typically upshifting. Pushing away from you is typically downshifting. In the Rallycross applications for sequentials, you see long, big, tall shifters. That's so you can be basically right at the same height as a big, tall, vertically mounted handbrake. So you'll see like two poles essentially next to the right side of a driver cockpit in a Rallycross car. One of those will be the handbrake, one will be the sequential. So yeah, it's a very simple transmission. The problems you run into are if you start misusing the clutch, or you over rev, or God forbid you start slamming gears, then you're going to chip teeth in the gearbox and have to repair a lot of costly parts. So that's kind of where the challenge lies. I mean, how many people, even if we did develop this very affordable sequential, how many people could have it serviced or work on it?
Yeah.
You know,
We'd
no
have to
one
make
wants
it
to be
obvious
sending transmissions across the country
Yeah,
to
you
get
want to
rebuilt.
make it, 40,000, 50,000 mile reliable.
Or just, offer enough information through text.
Yeah.
That Monster transmission where they can give advice to master builders. So,
and that's one of the great things about our sponsor, Monster Transmissions, is their footprint in the transmission industry is immense. They're
it's massive.
They're easily the largest manufacturer. Or
they're an international company.
Yeah, they're largest in America, and they do international. So anybody looking for some transmissions that'll
send it
anything,
anywhere.
Yeah, you got to go to Monster Transmissions. They're where it's at.
They're very custom build oriented. The facility is pretty incredible.
And they're a family business, too, which is kind of unique, in this industry when we're building relationships with sponsors. Sometimes you have the very corporate kind of, infrastructure with a VP and all this stuff. But, and they have that, but they're...
Things move very slowly in that type of operation.
Yeah.
For people like us to go approach them, it takes 10 times longer to get anything done with a massive group like that than a family business. So.
Yeah, and even the relationship we have with John and
now they're literally our friends.
Malcolm.
So it's friends and family. I mean, it's good.
I think I've called Malcolm some friendly names,
some terrible names.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
let's kind of wrap this all up with the reason why we're doing this mainly, which is the media side. So. This car is going to help Cabot a lot with what he's doing, but the idea is to film it all, right?
Yeah, essentially we're going to film our entire end of the build. Dirtfish will be filming their end of the build.
I think they're filming right now.
Actually. They are. They've been filming for weeks. So once their video's released, we'll be beginning ours, and then there will be a follow-up series.
And we'll be heading up there pretty soon. I think we're going to make 2 trips up to Seattle and check out the Dirtfish facility, right?
Yeah, you'll probably see us halfway through the build series of visiting Dirtfish and seeing the car, and then you'll probably see us picking it up. So that'll be next week that we fly out there.
And then we're going to...
Or the following.
Yep, so we're going to do some filming ourselves here in Reno with the car. We're going to do some filming with engines.com. With Monster Transmissions, with their roles in this build. We also have a cool little device called the Pedal Commander.
Oh, what's the Pedal Commander?
I think you should talk about the Pedal Commander.
Yeah, well, for those of you who aren't already following me on social media, in which case, good on you for finding this podcast randomly. I've been promoting Pedal Commander because I've been using them in basically every vehicle it fits into. But what it does is it piggybacks off of an electronic throttle system. So it's a very easy item to install. And with that, you have the ability to change throttle mapping. So you can have eco mode, which, don't let it fool you, is still powerful. And but applications outside of fuel economy include, better traction in rock crawling scenarios or loose surface scenarios. You can also use city or highway or race. Right?
Yeah, it depends on which you have it. If you have it on a
signal.
UTV, there's a couple different modes. On a vehicle, it's a different modes. It's funny, the eco mode I use a lot when we bring the UTV on the trailer because you want more.
Right, you don't want to be.
You don't want to be able to just jump with the throttle, which is really cool.
Whereas if you're in like silt on a desert trail, you can just put it up in the high settings and pin it, and you're drifting everywhere at any given moment, and it's much more fun. Like you said, we had the Can-Am, right? Yeah. We installed the Pedal Commander, and then it felt like, have any ideas of other topics you may want to hear us talk about, let me know on social media, and then I can incorporate them in the next episode. I think that'll be in about 2 weeks. It seems like every 2 weeks is something we can do. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. It's a wrap. What's up, y'all? Thanks for watching.